This is Gemara Sanhedrin, Daf Chof Gimel Baruch Hashem. As we begin a new parak in the Misachah Sanhedrin, we like to dedicate all the learning for today's year as incredible Schos Aliyas Neshama for Rabbi Yaleib and Rav Yaakov V'Siyata Dishmaya as we continue the learning of the month of Teves as a Schos Aliyas Nishmasai. As well as we like to dedicate today's year as an incredible schos refuah shleima for Tinaik ben Miriam Ahuva Baruch Hashem, hopefully coming home from the hospital very shortly. And b'siyata d'shmaya, the Kayach HaTorah, the Talmud Torah Kenegei Kulam, should continue bringing the ultimate Yeshuais and refuah shleima. We're holding on the top of Chav Gimel Amud Aleph as we begin a new parak. Says the Mishnah, Dinei Mamonis B'Shleisha. A line that is reminiscent of that which we saw back in the first parak, which is that monetary cases require 3 judges. But now the question is, how do you create the bezdin? How do you choose the dayanim? Says the Mishnah, Zabar Layachav, Zabar Layachad. Each side chooses one judge. Ushneim Bayrin Lahen Oid Echad. Ushneim, and then together the two sides choose a third dayan. Divir Amir. V'chachamim Aimrim Shnei Dayanim Bayrin Laid Echad. Or the Chachamim say no. Each side chooses one dayan, and then those 2 dayanim choose the third dayan. So 2 different opinions how the third dayan is chosen. Continues the Mishnah, Zeh Paisal Dayanai Shal Zeh, V'zeh Paisal Shal Dayanai Shal Zeh, Divri Rameir. Says Rameir, continuing the theme of this machlokes, that each one is allowed to say, I void your choice. Reuven chooses Dayan A, Shimon chooses Dayan B. Shimon can say, I don't like Dayan A, and Reuven can say, I don't like Dayan B. The Chachamim Aimrim teach the Chachamim. I'll say, when is this Mizvan Shemevi Alei and Raya? Shein Karayvim Psulim. Say the Chachamim. You can't just say it's possible. If you bring a proof that the Dayan is either related or other type of psul, then fine. Aval, however, am I ksherin? However, say the Chachamim, if the Dayanim are really kosher, or they are mumcha bezdin, bezdin has certified them to be competent and expert dayanim, eino yachal lepaislan, then they cannot disqualify them. End of part A of the Mishnah. Continues the Mishnah, on a similar vein, if one has a da'idim, one has judges, each side could passel up the others. Eidim say Rameir, v'chachamim ma'imrim say when is vanche maybe alei and raya. Only if you bring a proof, shein karayvim ma'ipsulim. I'm like ksherim, then inu yachal lepaislan, the exact same machlokes tin Rameir and the chachamim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Says the Mishnah, says the Gemara, excuse me. My zebayr le'echad, zebayr le'echad. What does it mean that this one chooses one and this one chooses one? Meaning, Rashi, right away on the top line, we translated the Mishnah literal, that each side chooses echad, one dayon. But Rashi on the Mishnah says no. It's mashma that each one chooses a full bezdin of 3. And therefore you're having 6, and then another 3 having 9. So off of that mashmayis, off of that havamina, the Gemara begins. And the Gemara says, wait, the Mishnah says they each choose one, which Rashi just taught us we translate to mean what? One set of 3. But I asked the Gemara, I don't understand. Why? B'tulasa sagi. Why does it not suffice with just 3 dayanim? Why do you need seemingly 9? Answers the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. This is what the Mishnah means. Hachi Kamar Kishira Bayrlai. Excuse me, not Kishira. Kishazeh Bayrlai Bezdin Echad. Zeh Bayrlai Bezdin Echad. Shneim Bayrlai Oid Echad. This is what it means. In a case where one person chose 3 and the other person says, no, I don't like your 3. Rather, I'm going to choose another 3. Then, in that scenario, where each one is fighting fire with fire, in the scenario when each one is voiding the other Bezdin, then Shneim Bayrin Lo Yoidecha, together they choose a 3 that they both agree upon. So it's not that it's 9, it's I 3, you reject my 3, so now we together choose 3, and that's our Bezdin of 3. Says the Gemara, Va'afilu, and even loiva motzi ma'akif, and even a loiva can prevent the malva from choosing the Bezdin. But ask the Gemara, meaning from the Mashmayis of the Mishnah, it sounded like each party could pull that card and say, no, I don't like the Dayanim you chose, I don't like the Bezdin you chose. But says the Gemara, wait, V'amar Rav Elazar leishanu ala malva. Says Rav Elazar, the only time you can void one of the Dayanim is if you are the Malva, you are the lender. The Leiva, we force him to accept the Dayanim, it done be Irai, and we give him a Bezdin in his town. So why does the Mishnah say they each could void? Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, you know what the Mishnah is referring to? The Mishnah is referring to, like Rav Yechanan taught, a secular court in Syria. Hachanami, here also, we're dealing with a secular court in Syria, and in such a matziv, even the Leiva has the power to block a Bezdin. But whenever we're dealing with real Dayanim, a real Bezdin, then you cannot reject it. Teretz number 1. Teretz number 2, Rababam Rav Yilotema Mochet. You can be Dina, Rav Huna, Rav Chista. But rather, you know, we're talking about the Bezdin, Rav Huna, Rav Chista, the Ka'amar Le, Mika Matarchina Lecha. Because the Leiva could say, Mika Matarchina Lach. Am I telling you to go to another Bezdin? There's no reason for that. Meaning, if the Malva is taking him to the Bezdin of Beidina de Rav Huna v'Rav Chista, then he doesn't have to, because he can say, I could go to a different Bezdin. Tanan, says the Gemara, v'chachamim oimrim, what did the Mishnah say? 5 lines from the medium-sized line, say the Gemara, Shnei dayanim bayron lo oid echad. Ask the Gemara, Bezdin basa de pasilu azliu bayrilu. Says the Gemara, 1 second. If you're going to tell me that the case is talking about like we just suggested, Reuven chose 3 and Shimon said, no, I don't like your 3, rather I have a different 3. And then we said together they choose their 3 together. But 1 second, says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that the case is Bezdin, that each chose the Bezdin de baslibu. Can a Bezdin, once it's parceled up, Azli Barlu Beidina Achrina, so then what? This Bezdin said this Bezdin's parceled, and together they're going to choose another Bezdin. What's going on over here? Va'id, and furthermore, my Zebayr lo Yachav, Zebayr lo Yachad. The Lashon of the Mishnah asked the Gemara, they each choose 1. What exactly does that mean? So says the Gemara, El Hachi Kamar, a new pshat in the Mishnah on the last narrow line. What the Mishnah means is that when they each select 1 dayan, not 1 bezdin like we just said, they each select 1 dayan, then they go and they each select jointly a 3rd dayan. Says the Gemara, "Mai shenad of the hachi." Why is this the way to go about it on the first medium-sized line? Amri b'marava explains the Gemara Mishmei de Rav Zera. B'tosh zebar lo dayin echad, zebar lo dayin echad, ushnei and bar lo echad yitzadin la mitai. The reason is because that is a way to get a correct judgment, because each one has one of his own dayanim involved in the case. And we continue. We're on the 3rd medium-sized line. V'chachamim aimrim v'chulu. Says the Gemara, what is the machlokes Rameir and the Chachamim? And suggests the Gemara Nema, shall we say, B'di Rav Yehuda Marav Kamiflagi is the machlokes Rameir and the Chachamim, a machlokes of Rav Yehuda Marav? Says the Gemara, what is that machlokes that we are referring to? De'amar Rav Yehuda Marav, Eina Eidim Chaytemin al Ashtar, Elamkin Yoidin Mi Chaytem Imahen. Says Rav Yehuda Rav, Eidim cannot sign unless they know who will be signing with them. So we can say the same thing regarding a Bezdin Rameir. Lastly, Rav Yehuda Merav. Rav Meir disagrees. He does not hold in such a din, and therefore the Dayanim do not have to know about the third dayan. Rabbanan is like Rav Yehuda Merav, and that is the reason why when the Dayanim are quote unquote signing on the third dayan, and that's the reason why they need to choose the third dayan. Says the Gemara, Loi, that is not the machlokes. Tikuli Am Islu to Rav Yehuda Merav. Everyone is going to agree with Rav Yehuda Merav that Eidim don't sign unless they know who is signing. But the chilik is when it comes to dayanim kuliyam loy pligi dibinan. Everyone agrees regarding to dayanim. You need their consent. Ki pligi. What is the machlokes? Das bale dinim. The machlokes is, do you need the baldin? The dayanim you need their consent, but you need the baldin. You need the people involved in the din Torah. Meir savar das balabat bale dinim nami bina rabbanan savri. That you do not. That's a dayanim beinan. But on the last minim says line, das balei dinim loy beinan, and that is going to be the machlokes, and not a machlokes of Rav Yehuda Merav, or rather a new machlokes. Now, once we quote Rav Yehuda Merav, says the Gemara Gufa on the last minim says line, Amar Rav Yehuda Merav eina edim chait bin al shar edim do not sign v'chulu. Tanami achi kacha inikia das Yishaim Aisil lo yachayten al Hasharim kin yoidim yichaytem yimayim a befer sharaya to this memra of Rav Yehuda Merav. It says the Gemara, similarly those in Yerushalayim lo yoshev b'din alam kin yoidim bi yoshev yimayim lo nichlasem b'seuda elam kemeisiv yimayim. As an extension, not only do they not sign a case, they wouldn't educate a case, nor would they sit and eat a suda unless they know who is with them. It continues the Gemara, Zepoisal dayanai v'chulu. Ask the Gemara, Komini de Pasal Dayane, I don't understand. How could one of the Balei Dinim, how could the litigant just say, no, I don't like that Dayan? How could he basel him up? We're talking about, you're right, we're Gaish court. But if the Mumcha Bezdin, then law, of course, you're not able to pass them law. Says the Gemara, 1 second. When we learned in the Sefer Chum said, when can you reject a dayan bizan shemevi raya? Only if you bring a raya shaker of psul. That's the sheet of the Chacham. Navalim hayok sherin. I momchem maybe bezdin. Eino yachla basel. So what were the words? Ksherin or momcha maybe bezdin. That's how the Chachamim argued. So the obvious implication says the Gemara mechlal der Rameir momche nami kamar. Sounds like Rameir is also talking about a case of momchen. So it can't be that in such a snare Rameir would pass up the dayanim hachi kamar. Says the Gemara, Aval mayuk sherim. Then nase kim momcha mi bezdin v'niyachol. If they are ksherim, even though they don't know, they're made as if they are mumchin, and you're not going to be able to pass them. And the machlekes Rameir and the Chachamim is only when you can reject a dayan that does not have the status of mumchin. But once he is, then you can not. Tashma asked the Gemara, Rameir kolei menu shebayzal dayan shev mumcha lerabim. So they said to Rameir, I don't understand. How do you have such a power to pass up such a dayan? So what do we see? We see that you're able to. Ema answers, doesn't mean he's actually a mumchal rabim. It means that people just allowed him to judge their case. We learned about this. 2 lines to the bottom. How says Reish Lakish? How could it be that a Pek Kadosh Rameir would see such a thing? How could someone just passel up the other Eidim? Tini, rather you have to learn Eidai. His witness Rameir means that if someone has one Eid Echad, then the other party could argue on him. Why? Because he doesn't have a din of a mumcha in such a case. Eidai Lemai says more 1 second. What is the case of one Eidim? Ilim Lemamun Rachmana Pasli. So what is the kibei trey? So what is this case of 1-8? Says the Gemara la'ilam l'mamun. La'ishicha dekavli alei, says the Gemara kibei trey. We're talking about is where he accepted upon himself the dayan echa, the 1-8 as if he was 2 eidim. In such a scenario, Amir says he can still back down, or as a chum say he cannot. So says Gemara, my kamashlan, what's the chiddush? Tomatzi hader bay. Tanino, we already learned that. So this machlokes asked the Gemara is not a new story. And as we turn over to Chav Gimel and Beis, continues the Gemara in the train of over Amr Avdimi Breder Am Nachman Berei Der Rav Yiskan the Kablu Alei Kechad. The case is where they accepted upon him like one of three dayanim. Ramishna quotes Rameir. Then it's such a say, you could back down. Says the Gemara, it's a stira. Answers the Gemara, Sri Chaditan Ava Vavucha. Bakam Rabbanan Dlamati Adam Misham Ava Vavucha Chazil Alma. If it said both of their names in the shtar, then it's true. Then we have to be more airy. But says the Gemara, Aval Chad Kebeitrei Dilama Loi Chazi. In the general sense, we disagree. That's only a chiddush in that one case that we can say Chad Kitrei, but in general, we disagree. Says the Gemara, Ema Moida Leiler Ameir, Viashinan Ba, Bakamer Ameir Avavai, Ema Moida Leiler Abon. So we have rayas both ways, and says the Gemara, Sricha, Diktani Reisha Dayanai, Viseifa Edav, Almadavka Katani. So we see it's talking about this case precisely. Continues the Gemara. One second. Almadavka Katani Amar Rav Elazar. So comes along Rav Elazar, and Rav Elazar teaches Bibahu v'acher l'paislan. You know what the case is? Says Rav Elazar, not just on one Eid. That we're talking about a case where he and another Eid come to passel up Eidim. V'acher l'paislan. Ask the Gemara called Kamine. Wait, Eid Echad is not Ne'eman. So how can he go and make the other guy Chayav Shvua Nogea be'eidasu? He's the Gea be'eidos. Answers the case is where there is a potential error, a flaw against this person. Error demai. That he's a gazlan called Kamine. Can you make someone into such a error? Nagea be'idasu. He is Nagea be'idus. Al error that began mishbach. It's not directive from here. It's mutter. It's still negea be'idus. So continues the Gemara on this theme of what is and what is not. Negea be'idus. 10 lines from the wide lines. Be'idus. Oh, Kiasar Avdimi Amar Rav Yechanan. Machlokes b'shteki de'edim. Machlokes is by two groups of edim. Rameir Savar Sarach Levar. Rabban Savar Einon Sarach Levar. Aval b'vas achas. Divrei Hakol Einoi Tzarich Levayer. But if it's a full set of witnesses, then automatically they have kashus. Amr Lefnei Rav Ami v'Ravasi Ein Shem Elikat Echos. So says he Ramau the same Ein Shem Elikat Echos. V'Amarta Aval Bekat Echos Divrei Hakol Ein Yochel Paisan Elanim says Kat Shniya Kraven Paislim. Mao, what's going to be halacha of the Kat Shniya of Kraven Paislim is going to be apostle. Amr Lehen Kavar Haidu Eidim. Harishainim. We already have Eidim. Igadi Amri, a second shot how to learn up this story. Says the Gemara, Amar Avashko Vari, do Eidim Harishainim. That's where we're going to end, and we'll pick it up from Nema Bivlukta the next year, B'siyata Dishmai.